My dear brothers and sisters, I am Father Dr. Patrick Merceline D'Souza. Today I am going to reflect on St. John's Gospel, chapter 2, verses 1 to 11. Jesus changes water into wine. In this Gospel passage from St. John, John describes the first miracle of Jesus where he changes water into wine. Please read this entire passage from St. John's Gospel or from Google so that you can understand this reflection better. Before we turn to the miracle of turning water into wine, let us focus our attention on the mother of Jesus, Mary, who was present with Jesus at the wedding at Cana. On the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." The compassionate nature of Mother Mary. This incident displays the compassionate nature of Mother Mary, who shares the anguish of the family members where the wedding was to take place. As soon as she comes to know that the wine was over, she feels empathetic towards that family and decides to do something to help the family. She tells Jesus, "They have no more wine." Mother Mary teaches us the following things through her reaction to the sad and miserable situation of the family at whose place the wedding was taking place. First, being aware of the situation around us. Mary teaches us to be aware of the situation around us. For that, we need to be present to the situation and to the people around us. We are fully present to the situation and the people around us when we are actively involved in that situation and in the people present there. Being involved, secondly, being involved and not being indifferent. Mary wants us to be involved in the situation and in the people around us. When one is fully involved in the situation in which one finds himself or herself, one becomes aware of the plight of the people involved in that situation. Mary wants us to be involved in the situation and with the people around us and not to be indifferent to the situation and the people there. Indifference is the sin of the modern world. The biggest sin of the modern world is indifference. Today people are self-centered. They think only of themselves and do not much bother about what the other people are going through in their life. Jesus has given us the example of the rich man who was indifferent to the plight of the poor Lazarus to point to the sin of indifference. In the parable of the rich man and Lazarus found in the Gospel of Luke 16:19 to 31, Jesus tells the story of a wealthy man, also known as Dives, who lived a life of luxury, and a beggar named Lazarus who lived a very poor life. Through this parable, Jesus teaches us to be aware of the situation around us, to be aware of the situation, to be aware of the poor conditions in which people live, and to be aware of our duty towards those who are sad, suffering, poor, and helpless. The rich man had not done any injustice to anybody, including the poor Lazarus. He had not harmed anybody. He had not tortured anybody physically or mentally. He had not robbed anybody of material things, nor had he destroyed the property or the peace of mind of anybody. But still, the master holds him guilty and sends him to the hell. The sin that the rich man had committed was not the sin of commission. It was the sin of omission. Though he had not done any wrong to the people, he had also failed to do any good for the people. The sin of omission is the sin of indifference, where we refuse to acknowledge the suffering, the pain, and miserable condition of the people around us and refuse to help them, even after realizing the plight of those people or even after being urged, being requested to help them. The punishment for the sin of indifference is to be thrown into hell after we die and to live through hell while being alive here on earth. The people who are indifferent to the sad conditions of the people around them live a life of selfishness, individualism, loneliness, emptiness, and frustration. Life of selfishness. Selfishness is being concerned excessively or exclusively for oneself or one's own advantage, pleasure, or welfare, regardless of others. Selfishness is the opposite of altruism or selflessness and has been contrasted as by C.S. Lewis with self-centeredness. Life of individualism. Individualism is a moral stance, political philosophy, and social outlook that emphasizes the intrinsic worth and independence of the individual. Life of loneliness. Loneliness is a state of mind that makes people feel empty, alone, and unwanted. It can have serious health consequences such as increased risk of depression, stroke, and so on. Life of frustration. Frustration is a common emotional response to opposition related to anger, annoyance, and disappointment. Frustration arises from the perceived resistance to the fulfillment of an individual's will or goal. All these quotations are retrieved from the internet. Living a life that is selfish, individualistic, loneliness, and full of frustration is like living in hell, here and now, while being alive. Life of compassion. The antidote to the life of selfishness, the life of individualism, the life of loneliness, and the life of frustration is a compassionate life, which Mary displayed at the wedding of Cana. Being aware of the situation around her, Mother Mary quickly realized that the wine at the wedding place had got over. Mary did not remain indifferent to the plight of the people in the house where the wedding was to take place. She responds quickly and decidedly by telling her son Jesus, "They have no wine." Mother Mary invites all of us to quickly respond to the sad situation and the miserable condition of the people around us and do something to help them to face their pitiable situation and to come out of that situation to begin a fruitful life. Like Mary, we too need to understand the sad situation of the people around us, to acknowledge the fact that those people need help, and to respond quickly and positively so that they can face and come out of the sad and miserable situation in which they find themselves. "Woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied. "My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you to do." Jesus was not very happy when his mother told him that the wine was over, hinting at him to do something about it. And he shows his displeasure by telling her, "My hour has not yet come." Jesus did not hide his feelings. He did not hesitate telling his mother that his time had not yet come, hinting that he is not happy to do something about the situation as his mother wanted him to do. Like Jesus, we too need to express our feelings openly and not to suppress them, because many of the psychological problems and mental suffering result from when we suppress our feelings. I have read of a woman who had developed a tumor in the stomach when for many years she had suppressed her anger, frustration, and sadness arising due to the mental and physical harassment from her husband. But in spite of the displeasure of Jesus, his mother tells the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." After all, mothers are mothers. Mothers know how to deal with their children and get them to do whatever they want their children to do. Sometimes they do it with loving words, words of appreciation, a promise of chocolate or something else. And if nothing works, then they can even use some harsh words or punishment to get things done. And the mother of Jesus was not an exception. She ignores what her son tells her and tells the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." So Jesus, like an obedient and loving son he was, turns water into wine. By doing what his mother wanted him to do, Jesus teaches us to be obedient to our parents, elders, superiors, and all those under whose care God has placed us. Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 12 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. Then, thus, Jesus afterwards told the servants, "Fill the jars with water," and after they had filled them with the brim, he told them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet." They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. Thus, when we get involved in the life and the situation of the people around us, when we understand what they are going through, and when we try to do something to help them to face their sad and miserable condition of life and to come out of it, we become compassionate like Mother Mary and are assured of our place in heaven. What Jesus did here at Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. By informing Jesus when the wine was gone by saying to him, "They have no more wine," the mother of Jesus had suggested to Jesus to do something to help the family. Though Jesus had first told her that his time had not come, he turns the water into wine. By listening to his mother and doing what she had suggested him to do, Jesus had reached the deepest depth of obedience. Jesus did not argue with his mother, but he obeyed her. Thus, the mother of Jesus launched the public ministry of her son Jesus, and Jesus changed the day of the inauguration of his public ministry in order to honor his mother. This depth of humility, which Jesus displayed while obeying his mother, helped him immensely later on to accept and bear the humility which he had to suffer as he was laid to the cross, and finally to accept the greatest humility of being crucified on the cross between the two thieves. We need to emulate Jesus and also his mother and begin to live a life that is humble, simple, and caring, so that the people around us will begin to understand the value of a life that is led by humility, simplicity, and compassion. My dear brothers and sisters, thank you very much for watching this video and listening to my reflection attentively, carefully, and lovingly. In case you wish to make any comments with regards to my reflection, please contact me on 7030447934. Please send this reflection and this video to all your contacts so that they may benefit by it. I also have a YouTube channel. The name of my YouTube channel is Father Dr. Patrick D'Souza, on which you can find many videos. Please go through them. You may contact me for personal guidance, for enhancing your human personhood, for career guidance, for clearing any doubts about any subject, whether it is biblical, spiritual, psycho-spiritual, educational, social, personal, or related to family matters, marital life, and difficulties in relationships. The principals and managers of the educational institutions may invite me to conduct sessions on the enhancement of the various aspects of the human personhood of the participants. Similarly, the parish priest in the churches and the directors of the various institutions also can consider inviting me to conduct the human personhood enhancement programs for the people under their care. In case you want to make a confession, you are welcome to approach me. Now I pray for you. Heavenly Father, bless all these people who are reading this reflection, watching this video, and are forwarding to others. Keep them holy, healthy, and happy. Fulfill all their desires, dreams, and aspirations according to your will. Amen.